America assumed it had already won the race for artificial intelligence. Then a Chinese company most people had never heard of released a model that was nearly as good as the best in the world for a tiny fraction of the cost. And then it did something stranger still. It gave the model away for free. Suddenly, the most expensive bet in the history of technology started to look a lot less certain. Today, we follow the money behind the AI race between China and the United States, and why it may not be going the way Silicon Valley planned. Let's start with what's happening right now. Back in early 2025, a Chinese lab called DeepSeek shocked the world by matching top American AI at a fraction of the price. Many assumed it was a fluke. It wasn't. By 2026, a whole wave of Chinese models, DeepSeek's latest, Alibaba's Qwen, Moonshot's Kimi, and others are crowding right behind the American leaders. Independent analysts now say Chinese AI is only months, not years, behind the US frontier. And here's the part that's rattling the industry. These models are far cheaper to use, and many are open source, free for anyone in the world to download, run, and build on. That single combination is quietly rewriting the economics of the entire AI industry. To understand why that's such a threat, you first have to understand America's strategy. Companies like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic made a giant bet that the path to winning AI is scale. Bigger models, trained on more of the world's most advanced chips inside data centers costing tens of billions of dollars. It is, quite literally, the most expensive bet in the history of technology. Hundreds of billions of dollars poured in on one core belief that whoever spends the most builds the best AI, stays far ahead, and can then charge everyone else for access. The entire thesis depends on America being far in front and staying there. Now here's China's problem, and its clever answer. China couldn't easily match that spending, partly because of the chip war we covered before. US export controls cut Chinese labs off from the best Nvidia chips, so they couldn't just brute force their way forward with raw computing power. So they did something different. Instead of spending their way to the top, Chinese labs obsessed over efficiency, squeezing far more performance out of fewer, weaker chips. DeepSeek reportedly trained a leading model for around $5 million to an American AI lab that spends hundreds of millions more. That's practically a rounding error. And then came the masterstroke. They gave the models away. Open web, they call it. Free for anyone to download, run on their own computers, and build products on top of it. Now, why on earth would you give away something you spent millions building? Because in the world of technology, free is a weapon. Think about it. If a Chinese model is, say, 90% as good as the best American one, but it's free and open, why would a business in Brazil or India or even Texas pay a fortune for the American version? For most everyday uses, good enough and free beats slightly better and expensive. And the numbers show it's already working. Chinese open models have overtaken American ones in downloads on the world's biggest AI platform, making up around 40% of all downloads. China isn't necessarily trying to build the single best model on Earth. It's trying to become the default, the free foundation that the whole world quietly builds on top of. It's the old Android strategy. Apple made the premium iPhone. Google gave Android away for free, and it ended up running most of the world's phones. Give away the platform, capture the ecosystem, and slowly everyone becomes dependent on it. So what does all this actually threaten? 3 things, and they're all about money. The first is profits. Trillion-dollar valuations of America's AI companies assume they can charge premium prices for a big, durable lead. But if good enough AI becomes free, that pricing power starts to crumble. When DeepSeek first stunned the markets, it briefly wiped hundreds of billions of dollars off US tech stocks in a single day, including a record-breaking drop for the chip giant Nvidia, which points to the second threat, the spending itself. If near-frontier AI can be built cheaply and efficiently, then the case for pouring hundreds of billions into chips and data centers suddenly looks shaky. And no company is more exposed to that doubt than Nvidia, whose sky-high value rests on the assumption that everyone will keep needing ever more of its expensive chips forever. And the third threat is to America's whole control strategy. The chip bans were designed to keep China years behind. Instead, they forced China to get creative and efficient, and it may be closing the gap anyway, while spreading its influence through free models the US can't stop. The wall didn't just fail to hold, it may have backfired. But in this matters, the story isn't as one-sided as it sounds. There are real catches. Chinese labs have been accused of distillation, essentially training their cheaper models on the outputs of expensive American ones, copying the homework that US labs paid billions to produce. OpenAI and Anthropic have openly alleged this. So part of China's low cost quietly rides on America's costly pioneer. There are also serious questions about trust, data privacy, built-in censorship in Chinese models, and reliability. And it's worth being clear, the United States still leads at the very cutting edge and still dominates the chips and computing power that matter most. The race isn't over, it's just far tighter than America assumed. So why should any of this matter to you? Because this is a contest to control the most important technology of the century. Whoever's AI becomes the world's default gains enormous power over the standards everyone uses, the data that flows through it, and the dependence it creates. And it reaches right into your life through the markets. A huge share of the recent stock market boom, and a lot of ordinary people's retirement savings, is riding on the belief that American AI dominance is secure and hugely profitable. If cheap, open Chinese AI cracks that belief, it could reshape both global power and your portfolio. In the end, this is a clash of two philosophies. America's approach is closed, expensive, and built on spending its way to dominance. China's is open, cheap, and built on spreading its way to dominance. And history has a habit of showing that the free, open platform often wins the world, even when it isn't quite the best. That is the bet China is making, and it's exactly why Silicon Valley is nervous. So the AI race is not the runaway victory America assumed. Watch three things: how close Chinese models get to the very frontier, whether the world adopts free Chinese AI as its default, and whether America's colossal spending keeps paying off. Because right now, the most expensive bet in technology is being challenged by the cheapest. If this made the news make more sense, that is exactly what this channel is for. The money story behind the headlines. Subscribe and we'll break down the next one together.